sinners, and saints. Dust off those horns and halos. It's time for Alan After Dark.
I really am out of sorts today. I said sorts, not shorts, okay? I just feel like everything is off, that nothing feels right in the world. I don't know how to explain that, and I'm sure that all of you have had this feeling before, right? It's just that, what did Blanche Devereaux call it on Golden Girls? Magenta? Maybe that's what we'll call this episode. I just am witnessing so many horrible things happening to a once great country, and it's just bewildering. It's mind-boggling. I know that you all know all the horrible things that are happening and how things are deteriorating, and I really do want to be that light in a room of darkness. That was over the top, dramatic, but you get what I'm saying. I don't always want to talk about all the horrible things, and I want us to escape. But sometimes it's tough. I have the same anger that a lot of you have. It really does anger me to the point of rage sometimes when I see people blatantly lying, not just about gay people or transgender people, but about immigrants in different cultures. The racism and the homophobia is so blatantly obvious. Well, they're just not putting a front. They're not trying to disguise it at all anymore. And it makes me want to scream. I didn't feel better after that, but it really does all kind of, when you whittle it all down, it is the human condition, right? Us as humans, how are we going to live our lives, carry on, how we treat others, how we are going to exist? And, I was talking about, this may sound really out of whack here, but I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about how there are men who don't like kissing, and the times that I've been told that it's intimate. I expressed my kind of bewilderment at that notion. But when I started to think about it more, I realized that kissing is affection. It is an emotional connection with a person, especially if you are hooking up with a straight guy. They want to view the experience as purely physical, and a kiss might show that he has affection toward you. It might be a door he doesn't want to open. A lot of straight guys, I'm sure, feel that way. I would assume that when they're having an affair with a woman, that it might be the same way. But, is an affair with a woman handled by a straight guy differently than if they were hooking up with a guy?
Yes.
No.
That's it, isn't it? They probably are emotional and affectionate with a woman, but if it were to be a man that they were hooking up with or having an affair with, they might be resistant to the notion of affection. But then again, maybe that's just across the board. I may be singling out straight guys, but it really could be either, right? Straight, gay, bi, pan, whoever. Maybe it is that fear of showing an emotional side to themselves. Maybe they don't want people to know that they might have feelings for them. If you are trying to rationalize your behavior, perhaps that's how you do it. With no kissing or maybe not even hugging, you are disconnecting from the emotional side and just focusing on the orgasm, the actual physical part of sex. I get that. I guess I do get that. That's in its own fucked up way. Makes sense. I'm not trying to judge somebody who follows that pattern or that behavior. Just logically, it does make sense as far as understanding why a guy might not want to kiss you and just prefers their dick in your mouth or your dick in their mouth, whatever. It's sort of reflective of us as a whole, isn't it? Once again, these little things that we do, I guess we think that they show people who we are, but a lot of these things are universal, aren't they? It's not down to just one unique person. these behaviors are seen over and over again. So, as much as we are an individual, we do follow patterns that many people do. That's what I'm thinking about tonight as we're talking. People like me who was raised in the Bible Belt, in this restrictive, homophobic, racist, bigoted region of the United States, if you're raising your children in that soup of filth and scum, leading them to believe all the horrible things about gay people, about black people, Jewish people, Muslims, immigrants, anybody, that's going to stick with you. That will be an impression upon you. I think a lot of us, those of us who have left those areas and moved to the bigger cities, part of the reason why we do is to get away from all that bigotry and the racism and the homophobia and just the suppression of yourself because of religion. Everything in the area that I was raised in was all about your religion. They imposed it on every aspect of your life. You were judged if you weren't a person who went to church. You were treated almost as an outcast, if you will. And those of us who survived the way we did, we functioned within that system with religion and the racism and bigotry, always knowing that when we got the chance, we could break free and live away from all that stuff. But imagine if you didn't. I've always argued with people that still live in my hometown, population of about 800, 900. They don't even have a traffic light. There are still dirt roads there. I tell them, how can you judge people that you've never spoken with or know? I've heard people there bash transgender people, and they don't even know a single person that's transgender. They've never spoken to someone. They base it on what Fox News and what people who are just making it up tell them. And it's the same thing about immigrants and people of color and people of different religions. They will echo the stereotypes, the things that people have told them without actually having an experience with someone of that religion, of that culture, from that country, of that sexual orientation. It is those things that if you don't break free from them, you will be doomed to have those prejudices your whole life. It does seem like a lot of people are happy with their prejudices. They're happy to pretend that everybody that's not like them is dangerous. They get some sort of gratification out of it. And that's also stemming from those, like we call people sheep, the ones who follow blindly. But it also takes those that manipulate that power of communication. We also see someone who doesn't really speak above a fourth grade level, who says the most fucked up, stupid things, and they still follow him. But it's because he reinforces their racist beliefs, their bigotry. I guess it's easier to cheer for someone that is telling you that you're right to be a racist, to be a bigot, to be a homophobe, to be transphobic, than it is for someone to look you in the eye and say, you're nothing but a piece of shit, fuckface, blind, stupid, brainwashed sheep who couldn't think their way out of a paper bag. But I'm just saying. And this is why I'm so frustrated. You can present someone like that with all facts, evidence, proof, even make a good argument, and they will still reject what you're saying. Can't see the forest for the trees, something like that. Always playing the victim. I am repulsed by that kind of behavior because it does take away from the times that people really are a victim. It's the boy who cried wolf. Do we all have someone we know that does that? They're always the one that has a reason for something that's happened. They're always pointing the finger at someone else. It's never their fault. And they're always the one who was victimized by whatever happened. Once again, that's a form of manipulation, isn't it? And those types of people are the people that I think have gotten me so riled up this week. There just seems to be a plethora of these people that are just promoting themselves as a victim, an innocent bystander, if you will, never involved, but always getting the blame or something. And personally, I'm tired of that shit. But what can you do about that? Well, one thing you can do is, I stop being friends with people like that. I don't want them around me. I don't need that fake energy life is hard enough. I just don't want to tolerate bullshit like that anymore. It's like we've had this talk before, but like if I'm lying in bed, and you all know I don't sleep, I hardly ever sleep. I'm lying in bed and I'm thinking about my life. I think about how much time I might have left, and I don't want to get into all that again, but that really starts affecting you. Well, it's affecting me, I'll put it that way. It's affecting me, and knowing that your time is growing shorter, I mean, sorry, even if you have 40 or 50 years left, that's not a whole lot of time. It's not. And when we look back on our lives now, our memories, and how many times have we said, it seems like that was just yesterday? But as I've gotten older and I see that final curtain, I do know that there is an end. None of us have gotten out of it. But that, I think, recognizing that, you really do have a very low tolerance for the bullshit. You don't want to deal with any of it. I remember just a few weeks ago, two guys I know, they've been friends for decades, and they got into an argument over something that I still don't know what it was about. I have no clue. And it startled me to see them actually raging at each other. I mean, it wasn't physical, but it felt like it was going to be for a second. I'm probably wrong. But when you're shocked like that, you can misread a situation. But I think their friendship is over. And that's sad to me, but you know what? If you all can't get past it, maybe the best thing is just to part ways and not spend time with each other anymore, not be friends. Because it's not going to be good for either one of you if you can't get past it. If it's going to pop up every time you see each other. And that's something that I feel like I've succeeded at too. I've been hurt by a couple of people who I thought were friends, and they started treating me differently. They stopped speaking with me. They won't sit beside me at happy hour. They might blame me for something, but if they do, I don't know what it is. I've told you all before, I'm no angel, but have I ever hesitated to tell you what I thought about something if you asked me sincerely? I don't think so. So anyway, it hurt for a while, but I'm not going to be some soap opera diva weeping and crying at your feet, begging you to stay friends with me. I'm not going to do that anymore. I've never really done that, but I have tried to make amends with people for whatever reason, and sometimes it doesn't work. I know that you're all probably thinking the same way. People might be disappointed in this, but if someone politically thinks different than I do, then no, it's going to be hard for us to be friends. If you are okay with a political party that bashes gay people, bashes transgender people, tries to strip women of their rights, there's nothing for us to talk about. You are a person who, you might be gay, but you really must hate yourself. And I just know that people that believe that they can be part of a conservative party, even though they're gay, they have other problems at hand. They have some sort of hatred toward the poor, toward other races, but they expect to be treated better than other people would be treated just because they're part of that party. It's the most ridiculous thing. I wish people who are like that would do some really deep, sincere soul searching to see if maybe it was how they were raised, that maybe the environment they were raised in created this false narrative in their mind that they're the victim and that they have a right to hate anyone, a Muslim, a Jew, immigrants, whether they're undocumented or documented, gay people. I wish that they would dig down deep and see maybe that what they believe is wrong. The power of persuasion that some people have is beyond me. And maybe I'm a persuasive person. I don't know. I don't try to be. I just try to express an opinion that you either like or you don't like, or maybe I make you laugh. Who knows? This definitely isn't a funny episode now, is it? But what the fuck? I can't always be funny, right? You can laugh at me anyway. It could be fun. See, I can take it. I mentioned people that can manipulate you, but our own fears, they encourage you to be afraid of certain people. And fear can drive your personality. Maybe that's all of this, from the beginning when I started about the kissing. men not wanting to kiss because it was an emotional connection, perhaps. That's fear, isn't it? You're afraid to feel love or affection for someone of the same sex, perhaps. Or in general. I do know a lot of gay guys, especially from the South in the Bible Belt, that from my generation, that do hate themselves. We've had it drilled into our heads that being gay is bad. It's a sin that sends you to hell forever. And when you keep hearing that drummed into your head and you're a gay person, it makes it hard to love yourself. And those influences, we all know this. It affects everything that we do, especially our relationships. This might sound like a big old bowl of bull cookies, but I feel like I may have hit the nail on the head here. It sounds crazy, I know. I'm probably just suffering from heat stroke or something because it is so fucking hot right now. We're in a heat wave and all that good shit, but you know what? That's just for documentation purposes, historical reference. In 16,000 years, when people stumble upon Alan After Dark, they'll know that this episode was referencing a heat wave in the American South in June and July and August and September. But I digress. I also think that we tend to brag or overemphasize things to make ourselves feel better. Like we'll talk about this guy or that guy who hit on us on Grindr or Growler and show the picture and like, look at this guy, how hot he is, and he's interested in me. And there's nothing wrong with cheerleading for yourself. But when you are lying in bed at night by yourself, do those things come across your mind? Wondering why you said something, you overhyped, you embellished a situation to make you look better? Now, I know we all do it, especially us guys. Our egos are so big anyway, inflated. If our dicks were as big as our egos, we would be a John Holmes level flippy floppy, you know? I just am so surprised and frustrated that people can be so easily swayed by unconvincing conversation. How is it that you can just, do you listen to these people when they talk, and does it not ring some kind of bell, a warning of some kind, telling you that this person is a fucking moron and deserves no credibility and definitely doesn't deserve your trust? We all have that ability, I think. You know, like when something tells you, your little voice or whatever in your head says, there's something about this person that's not right. You should believe it. That's your instincts. I'm going to always trust my instincts. And when someone who behaves in a way, when they are blatantly telling you things and talking about things that you know are moronic, why would you give that person any time in your life? Why? I swear to God, this is probably the most random shit I've ever said, right? Probably not. 2 weeks ago? That was a crazy episode, wasn't it? I was all over the place. Well, that was the booze talking a little bit. Not much, but, like I said, we were hanging out and I was drinking a little and I was having a damn good time.
Yee-haw!
I'm having one right now, too, because I'm getting this off my chest. You're all probably bored to tears, but I hope not, because I think you all have opinions about this, too. It would be a hoot and a half if I had a call-in show, wouldn't it? Y'all would be calling me and harassing me all the time, wouldn't you? You wouldn't be asking me questions. You'd be saying, your ass is fat. You need to wear different clothes. Alan, do something with that hair color. Jesus. That kind of stuff. And I'd be all for it, I would love that kind of interaction, but I am not equipped and prepared to do something like that. It would be Titanic level epic disaster should we ever try something like that. So that's not going to happen. I don't know where I come up with that, but yada yada yada, whamma-lamma ding dong, booyah. So what is the point of these different types of personalities, these manipulative people? Do they really just crave control of people? I think it's more simplistic. I think people that are like that just want to be right. They need all these people to reinforce their own self doubts. If you have these people who follow you and say that you're right, it makes you feel better. It's a stroke to their egos. I wouldn't mind having my ego stroked. Well, something else stroked, but thanks to you all, I'm always here grounded on both feet on the ground. You all will never let me get away with anything like that, now would you? And I really do appreciate that. I really do. I think part of this also stems from a person that I had known for 20 plus years. And I won't say that we were ever really friends, but we were friendly. And I know he's been going through a pretty rough time the last, God, year or so. Health problems, work issues. But he did something last summer that really did ruin his life. If you don't know how you're going to behave when you're drinking, you probably should curb drinking around certain people. You know, it's one thing to be at the bar and getting a little rowdy and wild within controls, but if you are in, let's say, a family environment where you're with some of your friends and their family is with them, maybe you should not drink so much, perhaps, because if you can't control what you might say when you're drunk, that would be the worst environment to be in, right? Well, obviously, what I'm getting at is this person, unfortunately, could not keep his tongue tied and said a lot of terrible things that led to the destruction of that relationship with his friend, but it carried over to a lot of us as well because it made you not want to trust this person. Well, anyway, I was at happy hour the other night and I was chatting with a good friend of mine, and this guy, let's call him Nick. The subject of him came up, and I was told some other things about him where he had bragged that he had went to visit another friend and they'd gone to some sort of a bathhouse or a sex club and they indulged and had all this fun, and it turned out that none of that was true. Maybe that's the other part of this whole thing. If you're going to say that you did something with a certain person, make sure that none of us could contact that person and casually mention it and then it gets shot down and we would look at you and question why you would have done that. But I know why you would have done it, because the guy's hot as fuck and you wanted people to think that maybe you all had a little adventure or something. But how foolish do you look when you get found out? And to me, all of this, all these different types of scenarios for me fall into that same category about how our environment, how we have grown and evolved as an adult. We all know some people too that have never seemed to have grown up. I'm saying in the bad ways. I mean, it's great to have childlike qualities. I love having fun and I love that playfulness that's sort of connected to being a kid. But if you don't know how to treat people as an adult, you're going to have problems. And yes, I think it probably is in our nature to fib, to lie about certain things, to make us look more impressive. But at the end of the day, why? You know what the British show, Keeping Up Appearances, good old Hyacinth Bouquet, all the things she tried to do just to impress her neighbors and friends, if she really had friends, to the point of changing the way her last name is pronounced. Her last name was Bucket, but she insisted that it was Bouquet. That's what I'm talking about. Aren't we like that? Not to that degree, but you know. But my God, wasn't that really real? I mean, we know people like that, don't we? And all of us have a touch of it, I'm sure. I know we do. I know I have. There's a difference, I guess, in embellishing and flat out lying. Like, for example, you all know that I have the hots for Henry Cavill. Well, why the fuck would I ever say that I met him and sucked his dick on a movie set? It would be the dumbest thing for me to do when it's a lie. But if it really happened, I would want to talk about it, but I'd be able to prove it too, I believe. But like I said before, I'm good at keeping secrets. Like I said, some of the hottest men in this town that I live, that I have fooled around with, and I've kept that secret, and I will take it to my grave, most likely. Yeah. But you see what I'm getting at? All of our troubles probably are stemming from people that fall into these categories. They were raised a racist and a bigot. They were taught to blame everybody else for their problems and everyone's problems without looking inside themselves to see if maybe they could do something differently to change what's wrong in their lives. That's why I'm so frustrated. But I have a feeling I'm going to be frustrated a lot over the next 2 to 4 years. Where's my drink? Fuck me, what an episode, right? But I hope you've had some fun. You've recognized a kindred spirit in what we've just talked about. Just remember, always, take life by the balls and be real. We'll see you soon.